You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Yes, the name itself, you have quite a compound name. Alfred, Papa Pre, Diete, Spiff. Can you tell us the history around that name?
Alfred, my mother used to bake cakes and bread and other confectionaries. And I was a wartime baby, 1942. And um, there was the air raid alarm, and we all went down to the cellar. And by the time we came back, the cakes had got burnt. So, when by the time I was born, the cakes had got burnt. So they said, this is another Alfred. Alfred the Great.
Was that how your name actually
Yes,
came?
yeah. So Alfred, Papa Pri is a free gift, that's a free gift. Because I'm the last born out of 7 or 8 of us. Diete, the Spiffs are a whole clan. And so the Dietes are those to identify ourselves as the Diete group, the Diete Spiffs. So you have the Eben Spiffs, you have the Eke Spiffs, so trying to compartmentalize the family groups.
Can you tell us about the origin of the name Spiff? How your family inherited that
The
name?
Spiffs, as the word goes, from the colonial days, they were the go between the European traders and the communities. Some went into the civil service, others went into the missionary. And Deacon Spiff, for instance, the Church of England in Twombras is actually 155 years old, one of the oldest in the country. From the time of the Akasa raid in 1896, the European great, the people, the agent in Kasa was killed, and then the officers of the expedition force who came to attack Nembe after the raid are buried right there in Brass. And that was, again, resource control. That stemmed, one of the things on resource control. Before now, the coastal group were the ones who were the middlemen for even the slave trade and the palm oil trade. So the European traders were not supposed to go into the hinterland. We were the ones to get the hinterland to come out to supply the goods, and we were the middlemen. Now the consul overstepped his bounds and started going inshore to buy straight from the hinterland. And so there was this resource control. And after that raid of Akasa, the British now took over from the United African Company, which was the authority in China at the time. They had a charter from the British government. So after that Akasa raid, which is all stemming back again to resource control, the British now took over, and a consul general was posted to Brass. And a consulate was established in Brass, and they said the relics of it now is still there. So that's Brass for you. When the River State was created, Brass was the division on its own. Even Yenagua province was coterminous with Brass. Even the Church of England, was established and built in Brass before it was moved to Bonny. And as history will have it, we don't even still have even a bishop in Brass. So we've been telling the Anglican Communion that this is a big oversight and they should do something about it. The one would have thought that would have been the headquarters of the Church of Nigeria. But alas, it's not so. Somehow, brass has been relegated to the background.
So you're saying the first church of England was established
Yes.
in...
Tuam brass.
Wow.
155 years.
And to think that a church that is as old as 155 years is not getting as much mention.
Well, we are, it's Land's End, like in England, Land's End. We are the lowest latitude. When you can take the map of Nigeria, you cut it on a card, but you stand it, that's Tuam brass, the very lowest latitude.
But if the British thought it wise to establish it there, don't you think there's a reason for that?
No. That's where they used to have the warships stationed to intercept the trade here. The Lander brothers, John and Richard Lander, when they came down the Niger, they came down through Tuam brass. They entered they actually traced the Niger River to Tuam brass.
When we look at Bayelsa, we look at brass, we look at River State, there is obviously this very strong bond, regardless of political and geographical demarcations that has happened over the years. Now, the British thought it wise to go there because, of course, there were economic gains to it, the trade, the oil, the slave trade, and all of that. One would expect that even after they left, there should be some form of development that would have at least given it the status it deserved as one of those hotspots where the British, betted, traded, and eventually left.
It's interesting, the British were quite thorough. They had a meteorological station right at that lowest latitude. So a weather station was established there. Even today, when they give in the weather report for NTA, they don't even mention brass, not even Yenagoa, which is a pity, But, history is history. So either you know it or you don't. In addition, the the European graves from the Akasa raid are right there in brass. There are relics and there are monuments there. And the British used to make common subsidies for the maintenance of that grave. Even up till the Eastern Nigeria days. And even when the River State came in, they were sending the British High Commissioner comes to visit that grave from time. It's a historical thing. So it's there, and you can send your NTA people to go there and feature it.
Yeah, so apart from the grave, which is monumental, and the meteorological center you mentioned, and of course the brass and the economic relevance to the British, are there other monuments that will be...
The Akasa Lighthouse, because the coast is that clear, you had only one or two cons. In the navigational map, we call it tree conspic, because it's a conspicuous tree. Over the period now, all those trees are gone. So the Akasa Lighthouse was there as a guidance, because there's a big shoal, and a lot of ships are founded there, including one or two Nigerian naval ships. The old Ogoja, that one founded there. So navigating along the coastline was not easy. So they established the Akasa Lighthouse also. And that was also the playground for the whales when they are migrating south or migrating north. So you have a lot of table fish and shrimps even today because it's a continental shelf.
It's not far-fetched that the people of Bayelsa are into fish farming.
No, not fish farming. That's God's own fish farm. So all you got to do is equip yourself with the right equipment or trawlers or Yamaha boats and go on there and harvest all for free. Place is alive with fish, flying fish, snappers, groupers, shiny nose, barracuda, name it, it's all there. And the whales now come to feed. So the whole place is alive, with the fishes.
Aquatic.
Yes, activity. So it's a good tourism point, and I have 2 islands there, which we hope one day will develop. I call them my treasure islands. So you get fresh fish all the time. landing. And the fisherman Buto, who has won national honors several times, he is based right at the mouth of the Brass River.
So he cuts his teeth right
Every
there.
day, all the shiny noses and things are being landed.
Wow.
We were even planning now, later to have a boat regatta.
When is that coming out?
Well, it will be organized eventually, and
We should have that, because if you have
we're going to have a university down in Brass.
If we have an aquatic experience as you have described,
Mm-hmm.
it's only natural that you come up with a regatta, a boat regatta that would also celebrate the culture
Yes.
and the people of that area.
Yeah, sure.
Because they're riverine.
We're
really.
working on that, but usually when you have major burials of a
Elder statesman or
a paramount ruler or somebody, we now pull out
the boats.
the boats, the Omongaro.
Fantastic.
It's part of the
Ceremony.
the ceremony, dinner, Mongaro, and all that, to row him into beyond.
to the beyond.
The beyond. Yes.
There's always been this talk about Bayelsens and people from the riverine area. And who else can we be asking if not a custodian of history? Why is it that, when a child is born, from what we hear, when a child is born, so you throw that child inside the water and leave the child for a bit? It's like some kind of traditional baptism. Why do you do that?
No. The child should be a natural swimmer. And we produce a lot of good swimmers from Brass. We, because of the size of the estuary, the sharks also wander into the
Residential area?
Yes. So traditionally we don't eat shark. We have a truce with the shark. We don't eat shark, they don't eat us. So you find that the symbol is the shark. The shark is like a dog. It comes to sniff you. And if it smells that you're eating a shark, then it comes next time, bite you.
No, that must be a superstitious belief. I don't want to believe that.
Well, but the truth is that the people from Brass don't eat shark.
So is that a way of scaring them not to eat the shark?
No, the shark is a way. I wouldn't say we deify the shark, no. But there's that mutual respect.
This is conversation with history.
Yes.
And we need to sometimes, we need to dispel some of those speculations and stereotypes.
You can believe what you want to believe. The truth is that we do not eat shark. Up towards Nembe, also the boa constrictor is not. We're not hostile to the snakes. As a result, the snake roams around freely.
No, but not the deadly ones, not the dangerous snakes.
The boa, the boa just swallowed. It does not.
And you say you have an MOU with the boa as well?
With the boa constrictor, it's regarded as a friendly animal.
In your area?
No, well, further upriver.
Are you joking right now? Because that's a lot to take in. You see a boa constrictor.
A boa constrictor, he may come and take your chicken. And that is his own share for a meal for the week. You swallow your chicken and be there and digest it. It may take about a week. But you don't hurt it. The best you can do is to take it and throw it in the river. And then it floats away.
Is that MOU still pending? Is it still...
Well, there's that mutual respect.
Even till now?
Yes.
It hasn't expired?
No.
Now, that whole axis is covered with water. You're surrounded by water. So how is it easy? For somebody who wants to go on an adventure, how easy is it to navigate that axis by road and by car and by any means necessary beside using the boat?
The road extension from Yenagua has got as far as Nembe. And Nembe is only about 25 kilometers from Brass. So we're trying now to build a road to Brass, which is almost like a dike. It's all through swampland, and you need to clear the mud and quicksand and fill it with proper sand, build it up like a dike, and have enough culverts and these things to stabilize it and stop it from sliding. And build a road. That is the next projection. Once the road gets to Brass, and then proceeds to Okwama and Odioma, and then we think of crossing it to Akasa and back to Poroma, Peremabri, the rice farm, and back. So there's a circular road which we've been asking for since the time of the creation of Bayelsa State, which the NNPC promised us to build a circular road like that. And then also the coastal road going from Bakassi to Badagry is supposed to pass on that axis. We did a lot of studies during the time of Chief Hosford of Opadek and with Professor Teme, and I hope those things are still intact. It's just for us now to
Implement, execute it.
Yes, to start upgrading it for construction. There's a lot of work is to be done there, and that area is God's own land. It's so precinct.
You've talked about Bayelsa, you've talked about you've talked about Brass. Then we want to talk about Alfred, Papa Priye, Diete, Spiff. You were born in Bayelsa. Present day Bayelsa, once in River State. Can you tell us a bit of your growing days?
I went to St. Luke's school, Nembe, and we left Nembe in 1951 because my father, having been posted from Owerri to this, finally got posted to the Cameroon. He got posted to the Cameroon in
as a postmaster.
Postmaster. He was the postmaster in the province of Buea, where you had the resident, the British resident, Brigadier Gibbons. And I still remember that they had rigged the telephone high enough so that I won't tamper with it. But I go to my nursery school and I come back and I'm the only one in the house, and the resident is trying to phone the PM, postmaster. It was that important. And there's only one person in the house to receive the telephone call. So I rig up the chairs, climb out, and speak with the resident. One day my father came and said, "Look, you seem to have a new friend." I said, "Who is that?" He said, "The resident is asking you to come and have tea in the residency." So I now had a free pratique to go to the residency and play and have tea every day.
Wow, on that score?
Yes, how old was I? About 5 years old.
Suffice it to say, your father's profession also rubbed off on you because you seem to have lived a very, cosmopolitan life, even at that time.
We now found ourselves in the Cameroon in 1951 because he had retired now and stayed in the Cameroons. He stayed on in the Cameroons. And so we ended up finishing our primary school in Tico, and going to Buea for our secondary school. And Cameroon had just 2 secondary schools, the one up in Baminda and the one down in Buea.
Did you learn the language?
There are so many.
Okay, none. You didn't learn any?
No.
Okay.
The Bayanges, the Bakweres, the Bafut, there were so many bars.
Okay. So you just generalized them bars.
No, they are the bars. Yes. You remember the book by this man, the Bafut Bugles. These are the Bigling.
Yes.
The horse riding with the dogs. You're dressed like a bigler yourself. They came in. I've been looking at you.
Oh my goodness.
That's it.
Oh my goodness.
The red jacket. Very smart.
Thank you so much, sir. So while you were in Cameroon, you had your secondary school,
Yes.
and then
And then then Nigeria became independent in 1960, and Cameroon also, had a plebiscite whether to stay with Nigeria or to leave. While not in Nigeria and not in Cameroon, stay with Nigeria. Southern Cameroon opted to go to the old French territory, and so they are part of it now. And all the Bakassi story. So,
yes,
so the
and some were trapped in between, neither here nor
yes,
there.
I found myself in 1960. I haven't finished school, applying for jobs. I'm being told I'm a Nigerian. So I was bundled and put on one of these 911 lorries. And they road trip from Mamfe across the border back to come to Nigeria, and to Abakaliki, and then to Port Harcourt. And by 1961, I found myself back in Lagos, and I joined the meteorology department, trained at Oshodi as a weatherman. And but I was keen on joining the Navy, so I went to my application to the Navy, but we couldn't go past the gate. And as God would have it, the inland water was then advertised for marine officers under training, and myself and John Pinson were selected in 1961 to go in for the officers navigators training, and they were pleading for me to become an engineer because of my science inclination. They were maths, physics, So, but I wanted to be a navigator. I'd already agreed with my father from the age of 5 that I was going to be a marine captain, not an engineer. So when Chief Alero was interviewing me and saying that, you see, Nigeria needs engineers and you are very good, this thing, science background, this and that, I said, I don't want to be down below receiving orders. I want to be upstairs giving them orders. So,
wow.
At a stage, it was so funny. I wasn't too sure who was interviewing who. I told her very clearly, as a young 18-year-old, she said, look, if you don't want me, I'm ready to go back to Ibadan, to go and study engineering then, but not marine engineering. I have enough brothers who are engineers. I want to be a captain, didn't I tell you?
Was that how the interview actually went?
Honestly, no, I'm not exaggerating.
In this age and time?
At the age of 18, when I think of it, I say, look, but see, that's the idea. The Nigerian we have so many youths who were confident.
They knew what they
wanted.
wanted.
Know what they want, even now. So you see, the country should be giving the youth more opportunity to show what stuff they are made of.
So after that interview you had, you got a job?
They gave me the job. But instead of one engineer and one man navigator, both of us became navigators.
So how long did you serve in the Marine?
14 years. I was able to get a transfer to the Nigerian Navy. Admiral
From the Marine to the Navy?
Yes. Admiral Way was very forthright. He said, look, this material is not going past this naval. It's staying here. You're not going back to the civilian Navy. You stay with us. And I told you I wanted to join the Navy from
the very beginning.
So that's how
it worked out for you. So what informed your leaving after that 14 years?
Oh no, I left as a military governor. I was sacked. We were on the way out.
I mean, you were the governor, the military governor of Rivers State when the war, started. How did you manage as a governor, as a serving military governor then, when the war was raging?
Well, I was still stuck in Lagos, 24 Queen's Drive. We were writing all about working papers, hoping that when we go there, we'll start implementing them. So we had a sort of an advisory council. It couldn't be an executive council. An advisory council made of civil servants and other academicians who were around. in the free part of Nigeria. And so when Adekule, Colonel Adekule, the Black Scorpion, liberated Port Harcourt, I had to put on my full blue uniform and went to receive this great war hero. And he said to me that he's still considering when I can go, and it's safe enough for me to go to Port Harcourt. And but we thought this was not the right thing to. We tried to persuade him. General Hassan tried to persuade him, he wouldn't. So General Hassan then ordered that I should go to Port Harcourt or resign. So when you are in the military, you have already signed death and embraced it. So you shouldn't be a coward and get down to Port Harcourt immediately. So the General Gawan arranged for his presidential jet to take me down. So I arrived there, kissed the floor, and got on with the work. Looking at anybody's face. So Adekule was very angry, but he had to still smile and try to look cheerful.
Today you're alive and kicking.
Well, yeah, I mean, this I explained the cause. I told him I'll come. So I'm his guest. So he smiled and had to take care of me. Because even before then, before the war, he was the officer in charge as a major of the Ikeja cantonment. And I was the president of the Lagos Motor Club. And I used to come and ask him whether we can use his parade ground for some of our activities, and he used to grant it. So we were that close. So because we're now on the war front, he should not be hostile to me.
Can you remember one or two moments that stood out during that war for you?
Oh yes. Yeah, I mean, Adekule was a gallant officer. He had a coffin made to measure. He had a coffin for himself. Coffin. Yes. He had a coffin made for himself, made to measure. And he would fit into it. And so whenever the overseas observers and come, he goes there, opens his garage and he steps into that line.
So he was already romancing death?
No, I mean, he was that brave. He couldn't be bothered. And he had one of these AK-47s, which he got engraved to the butt. His name and, his pseudonym engraved to the butt.
And that was what he eventually
which he later presented to me. He later presented that gun to me as a souvenir.
Oh.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have it anymore. But
when you look back, you reflect back, what would you say are your landmark achievements during your era?
No landmark achievements. No, we just sent there to go and establish government and see that there's peace and work out some development, yeah. And then the Supreme Council had already approved the second development plan. So we had to follow that religiously, not allow too much distortions. And some of the things we did then was to build the secretariat, set up the government paraphernalias, ministries, departments and agencies. And we also invested in one or two commercial things. I bought over the Delta Echata from Chief Macri, and then built it up into a more viable aircraft company. And in those days, we had all the aero contractors and Delta Echata and the Nigerian Airways. So I had my own fleet of aircrafts, both amphibian helicopters as well as fixed wings. So if I'm going out, anything. So I had to start learning how to fly too. The Kirikiri airport, airstrip was there, the Lagos Flying Club. So I joined the Lagos Flying Club and I learned how to fly by the Kirikiri prison there.
But how was it like, structuring the state? I mean, because this is a state that you
When
didn't
we,
inherit.
when we stopped in Lagos, we
Yes.
had already done all our master plans.
Structuring.
Yes. We had gone all the write-ups on all the number of ministries and this and that. And
Was it easy?
No, it wasn't easy, but we have one or two seasoned civil servants, like Daniel Calio, Graham Douglas, Melford, So these were came in as permanent secretaries, this and that and that.
Initially, when the state was being structured, you were in Lagos. But of course, you got a command that you go to the state and man the post.
Yes.
How many years did you spend while you were there in River State?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
So those 8 years.
1967 to 75.
Great. So those 8 years, of course, there was a mandate.
Yes.
And looking at River State as we know it today, would you say that mandate has been followed through?
Well, we did our best, one man in his time did all the, well, it's a stage, as Gawan said, when he was we were ousted. We did our own bit. And the group that came after us were to carry on the baton like a relay race and continue with it. So I cannot criticize them.
In hindsight, is there anything you would have done differently?
Yes, I could have. There are one or two things.
Okay.
Captain Rigel, the owner of Aero Contractors, told me that he was leaving the country. He wanted to sell his Aero Contractors, his fleet, his company. And I said, fine, we'll buy it. Then I went to GKJ and I said to GKJ, I heard you got some Americans to come and revamp your this thing. I'm going to buy over Aero Contractor. I'll give you a good run for your money. He said, oh, please, come on, buy Delta instead. And out of sympathy of,
Sentiments.
Yes, I bought Delta instead of Aero Contractor.
So that's one of your regrets?
Yes.
Which other one would you?
Well, not only that, before you knew, now the civil servants were using the aircrafts,
Abusing it?
And abusing it. And as a result, the aircraft could not maintenance and this and that and that. So funds were not being released.
So what would you have done differently?
I would have bought both. Then the Hebrews went to buy Aero. And then there was that Cold War. So the regret is I should have bought the two.
But what guarantees do you have that if you had bought the two, what happened to that Delta Airlines wouldn't have happened to Aero Contractors?
If the two companies were there, it would have grown bigger.
Okay.
And the management would have been better now.
So what's the other thing you would have done differently? You talked about two.
Yes, we could have moved the headquarters. When the headquarters that were announced were temporary, it was within our powers to move the headquarters as we found appropriate.
So where would you have moved the headquarters to?
To Brass. More Brass.
Instead of Port Harcourt?
Yes. Even Tom Brass was supposed to be the headquarters of Bayelsa. I told you that that was the headquarters of Brass Division.
So did you see your exit coming? Your exit as the military governor of the state. Did you see it coming? Were you prepared for it when it came?
I wouldn't say I was prepared.
So how did you take the exit when it came?
No, when I was retired, when they took us in the aircraft, came here on my birthday.
So what informed it? What informed your exit at that time?
No, we were just told that we had been retired. So what did I do? I've been retired. I was a retired pensioner at the age of 33. Isn't that something? So I went to the Kingsway shop or the store and something and bought a nice hamper with some biscuit brandy and Remy Martin and Hennessy XO and things like choicey drinks if you know a connoisseur, And took it to my old man, my father, and said, Daddy, you have another pensioner in the family. The man embraced me, and the man embraced me and wept over my shoulder. He said, I admire your courage. But that was it. I mean, I've been retired at the age of 33. Youngest military governor, the youngest pensioner. And then they turned around and said, no, we must defrock him, we must take his ranks, we must this and that and that. And they turned around and said, they have now removed even the little rank they gave me. They gave me only one promotion in 8 years, for whatever reason.
What would you say was responsible for that? I mean, just thinking back, your own, it may not be...
Jealousy. The countryman in a bad belly. So I'm here today, and I don't have any medals. I didn't get any medals from the Navy. But those who went to fight in Biafra came back, have medals. So you can call me the undecorated commander.
Did it in any way dampen your spirit to serve
in
any
even
capacity?
Now, even now, people have asked me, said, do you people regret ever keeping the country together? Do you think that you would have done it different? No. We are here to stay. Nigeria is here to stay. For better or for worse.
When I listen to you talk, I mean, all this while when we're talking, I've had that energy, excitement. But when we got to that era of your exit, I saw the chemistry, the dynamics change a bit. Now, the question is, do you have any grudge against the system for taking you out of active service at that age? You're talking about your 30s.
Yes.
Okay. What would that be?
The country has not been fair to me. It hasn't.
Why would you say that? I mean, what
welfare do I have as we speak? Everything I've ended afresh, from scratch. If I wasn't a prince in my own right, as I told you, my grandmother was a princess.
Yes.
So, and my father also was a prince. So, both from my father's angle or this and that, I could claim the throne of Nembe or the throne of Calabari or the throne of Brass.
But there was still some form of compensation, if you want to put it very lightly. Mm-hmm. Like your people honoring you and making you a king.
Oh yeah, sure.
For the many years that you have served as a king.
So at the federal level and so on, what provision and pensions are there? River State does not give me any, take care of me.
But your people take care of you.
Exactly, thank God. For instance, we are in the traditional institution. That's my battleship, as we say in the Navy, currently. Our name is not in the Constitution. If your child is in school and his name is not in the school register, is he in that school?
Could that be an omission, an oversight?
It's not. It's a deliberate this thing done. They expunged any mention of traditional ruler. Right. What is the excuse? Oh, we are taking the American system. And in America, there is no traditional ruler. Abi? Not so. So expunge it. And they expunge it. So in your constitution, there's nobody called a traditional ruler. And yet they exist. Is that not fraudulent? And this nation is going on. Since that then the Obasanjo came in as president, they have been amending the constitution as long as they go along. But they don't want to touch that of the traditional rulers. Just spell out and put them back on the protocol list. So we don't exist. We are non-entities. And we go to church and everybody prays and be looking very pious and holy. They say, God, oh.
What efforts have you made to ensure?
We have been on it in the last how many years? 20 years? And counting.
And what is it? What's the feedback you get?
They say these ones, if you give them an inch, they rule the world. So keep them on the lock and key. They are to be seen, not to be heard. But whenever visitors come, they bring us and say, you see how traditional and see how we revere them. Yeah. Wow. Or go no kubuya.
What does that mean?
Pretense.
Oh.
It's true.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so on a more serious note now, you were one of the founding fathers
Yes.
of this Nigeria we call our own today.
Yes.
Growing up as a young man with dreams and aspirations and visions and prospects and projections for the country, what would you say are the gains and the losses from your own perspective?
Look, Babangida tried to bring the new breed, and it stopped. We might put the young 40-year-olds and so on. Managing and damaging. A bit of it is allowed. But we must be sincere and don't look at somebody and say, I'm holier than you. Butter will not melt in my mouth. We should be honest to ourselves. We are all human beings. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Abi?
What verse of the Bible is that?
Romans 3:23. My mother taught me.
I thought as a traditional ruler you won't even remember that.
No, don't worry.
You've seen Nigeria evolve. You've seen Nigeria go left, right, center, up, down, and all of that. What is the Nigeria of your dream?
An egalitarian society where the rich are not too rich and the poor too poor. We just have to build a Nigeria where people are given the rights. So people are afraid at times to continue doing good. But you know what? To me, doing good is my religion. And I will continue that.
Give us a sense of your duties as a king of...
I'm there to bless my people and give them the leadership of being there as the benevolent father.
So what are you doing, to also better the lives of your people as a king, beside, giving them, expressing your benevolence, to them?
I'm trying to get the University of Brass.
Okay.
The University of Brass. They said no, they want to name it after me. Fine.
Okay.
We want to see if we can get a boat building complex there. We want to get other industries there. We want a road to get down there. These are all the things that we're coming here and trying to get the central bank to give money for us to go and start a mushroom center. We need to go out and start fishing, and we want to get a cold store, terminal, fishing terminal. Talking to the Minister of Agriculture. We're building on it. That's one of the reasons I come to Abuja forward and backwards. You see, if you're waiting now for government, no. You now have to get the private investors also to come.
He work for everybody. He carry everybody along. That is the nature of the man. Even when he was the governor of Rivers State, the first military governor of Rivers State, that's how he worked. Even at that time, I was close to him as a very young boy. We were working and serving him. He was very kind. He ruled River State without any problem. And he developed the state. The area of education at that time, when the war was just ended, the River State lacked educated people. We have only few educated people. And he has to have a scholarship for sending students abroad, even with attempted school start. He will send them abroad to read and get their qualifications and come back to work for the state. He has a scholarship for secondary school students. Sometimes he will travel to the sea and visit paramount rulers, elderly people. He will talk to them, and he will collect young boys and young girls who are in primary, who have read primary 6, and will bring them to Port Harcourt and put them to secondary schools and train them, give them scholarship. So the man has been very good to the people.
What can I say about my dad? He's funny, that's for sure. And the thing that gets to me about him is how no matter anything that happens, he has a way of just finding a humor in it. You know, he laughs about everything. And also it's just how the wisdom that he has is unimaginable. And I feel like even the country and the world hasn't even tapped into his wisdom. For me personally, my dad has been my biggest rock and my biggest supporter. I remember even when I wanted to go to flying school as a young girl at 16, a lot of people didn't believe in me because I don't think she's gonna make it. But my dad believed, and he always believed in me, even till today. You know, anytime I want to take a step in my career and I'm like, Dad, this is what I want to do. He's like, what do you need for that? And that's just who he is. He's so caring. He's just so giving, you know. And for me, that's where we learned it as his kid. That's where we learned as his children. That's where we learned to be able to give. Because watching him every day just give a lot of himself. Sometimes he even overgives.
What do you do these days? I mean, apart from ruling your people, you know, at Tombras, what else do you do?
No, I when I can, and I'm feeling strong enough, I go and play golf. Before now, one could play 2 rounds of golf a day, but I haven't got that type of energy again to ball.
And your other hobbies?
What other hobbies? Listen to music, watch Telemundo.
What kind of music do you listen to?
Anyone, from Agidigbo, anyone suits me. You know, classical music.
So I don't even have to ask you your favorite color because you have mentioned that you love green.
I used to love green. When my first sports car was a white-green.
So what is it now these days?
Somehow I fall in love with the red too.
Oh! Oh my goodness! If I didn't know that, I just wore it as a coincidence.
Red is very red.
I must.
No. There are different shades of red.
Oh my goodness! So I must be in the spirit to have worn a red, you know, for this interview.
Different shades of red. I like real scarlet red. You know.
Wow! Thank you so much.
Yes,
I take that as a compliment. So, what's your favorite quote?
Cool.
Philosophical quote.
I don't know. What would this say? I have my own quote. You know, it takes a genius to discover a genius. Quote me. If you don't have the genius in you, how would you see the genius in the other person?
So, on that note, we want to say thank you so much for spending time with us on the program today. It's been very insightful. There were moments when you went up, There are times when you were in the middle, and there are times when you were down. But however, it was a potpourri of emotions that was expressed, today, and it was quite insightful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much. So let's do the greeting. Wait. Thank you so much for having us. We've had a good time.
Well done.
Thank you so much, sir.
Well done.
And so on that note, I want to say thank you so much for being part of a conversation with history. Until next time, when we come up with another guest, it's been a great time. Be kind to one another and stay well.